Welcome back to round 3 of Kharak Cup number 2. Right now we're going to have Catharsis playing as the Soban versus Garmilator playing as the Coalition. This is actually pretty cool because just like yesterday I was thinking to myself, we still haven't seen like Soban versus Coalition in a tournament recently. I wonder what that would look like. And look, here it is. So that's pretty cool. The map is going to be Canyon Outpost. This is going to be a really big ask for Catharsis because Garmilator, of course, showing himself to be like some kind of terrifying demon. So I'm really interested to see what he's going to do to try to counter him, and also what Garmilator is going to do to crush his unhappy opponent. I shouldn't say unhappy, but afraid. Maybe that's the better word for it. Fair warning, I just drank like tons of chocolate milk, so if my voice starts getting really nasally, that's the problem, but hopefully that won't be an issue. Now, oh dear, look, there it is. Anyway, Garmilator, of course, going for LAV fabrication early on, like we would expect. Let's see what Catharsis got going. Basically the same thing. Actually, looks like about exactly the same thing. Salvagers on RUs as well, coming after the CU salvagers, so looks pretty standard so far. Now, the current meta with Coalition versus Soban is pretty interesting. Of course, the base runner turret is super effective, but the Soban do not have that ability. Instead, they have the targeting jammer, which can still be used, but with great difficulty. Generally doesn't show itself to be as effective. So, the Soban player basically needs to use his armed logistics modules as sort of like a defense network, and just kind of try to get into the mid-game without taking too much damage. Which sounds really bad, because they're always on the defense, but it's definitely possible. I mean, ALMs make like a very, very good defense network because of the way that, you can't actually move past them at all. Let's see, so the probe is just gonna see a bunch of salvagers here, but no LAVs out on the field just yet. That's the same for Garmilator, although he's producing right now. And it looks like Catharsis is going for early AAVs, which I think makes a lot of sense. Probe taking minor damage there from the base runner, but nothing to write home about. Excuse me. Garmilator also now researching AAV fabrication. It's going to finish about 15 seconds after Catharsis. And now there is one LAV out on the field, and we've seen how effective one LAV could be in shooting down probes and such. So, I think we saw that actually in the last game, right, with Tarnarm versus Catharsis? That like there's just one LAV on the field and it managed to like shoot down a bunch of probes. Wait, that can't be the case. No, it was in Discara versus Garmilator, because Catharsis did not play as Soban or Coalition last time. Which actually, that's pretty interesting on its own right. But we see the first turret now coming down from Garmilator. The probes are going to see each other. It's a bit of an awkward meet-up there. First turret is coming down in a position it looks like to deny the artifact extraction. I heard something exploding over there. That's interesting. It was Garmilator's probe. Not really sure how that happened. It must have flown over the base runner. But what would really be good for Catharsis is if he was able to see this turret with the probe, but it looks like he's instead going to scout it with the LAV. Oh, look at that sick micro there, right there. Normally, when an LAV sees a turret, or like a sand skimmer sees a turret, it just dies instantly because the turret can kill it in one burst there. But because the LAV went over the dune on this side and Catharsis was on top of it, he saw that immediately, like, oh look, there's a turret there. He pulled him back and he didn't lose the LAV, which is super cool. I know he's throwing a targeting jammer on the turret. That's a bit less cool because it's just gonna get killed by these LAVs and that costs money, of course, so not totally sure what the purpose of that move was, but he's got AAVs rolling into the field now, but they're gonna choose to back away. The LAV goes down, the space runner go down as well, so that looked kind of silly to me. I mean, like, the LAV scouted the turret, he knew it was there. Maybe he thought that, like, with the targeting jammer and the AAVs, he could take it out, but his timing was pretty off for that, and so he ends up just kind of losing everything over there, which is a little unfortunate. That should be a small deal for him, though. If it was Garmilator's base runner that went down there, I'd say it was a bigger deal, because, of course, that base runner with its turrets is, like, really a big deal in the early game, but we'll have to see what that ends up meaning. This probe getting shot down. Of course, no more probes can be produced from our Soban player unless he would choose to make another base runner. He is researching fighter and gunship fabrication, which is pretty cool. And power reserve number 1, I guess that's probably for like ALMs and another thing, although I'm not sure what the other thing would be. Garmilator, meanwhile, is going into railguns. So That's kind of a classic matchup there, is a bunch of railguns against air units. Let's see, Garmilator using his carrier to try to block out these AAVs, but it looks like he's missed it. So the AAVs are going to get into the back line, they're going to have a support cruiser, that's going to get smoked off. Now Catharsis really wants to do some economic damage here, so if he can get just like 2-3 salvagers, that would probably be worth it, but it's going to be tricky if he's still targeting the support cruiser. Doing a good job smoking the carrier off though, so that the carrier can't get any damage on these units. But there are enough AAVs here, I would imagine, from Garmilator to smoke off the support cruiser long enough to make this attack ineffective. And also with that, excuse me, with that extra power from the artifact, Garmilator is able to power up his systems quite nicely. I'd like to see him put one in healing, because, you know, why not, but that's a small thing. This AAV going to go down then. And also, look at this small little detail from Garmilator. He moved the carrier over here to help the support cruiser, so he moved the support cruiser over there, so his eco wasn't even suffering really too much from that. Anyhow, the support cruiser very damaged, but Garmilator's going to power up the repairs. He's gotten power reserve 1 and getting number 2 right now. So everything looks to be in control on that side of the map. Excuse me. Like I said, I shouldn't have drunk all that milk, it was a trap. Now there are now 4 air units on the field, with the 5th being produced. That's pretty spicy. Oh, and they're going to get launched immediately. Oh, and this is big actually, because that support cruiser is still at very low health. So the damage done by those AAVs may not be in vain after all. If you can find the support cruiser, I'm pretty sure you can kill it in this case. And he is going to target it. Support cruiser anti-air is finished though. Garmilator, wow. I wonder, did he... Oh, and there's a second support cruiser out in the field. It's going to deny this poke entirely. Kill off all of those strike fighters. That is huge. I'm wondering how Garmilator knew it was going to be air tech. Maybe he saw it on the carrier. For those of you who don't know, you can't actually see that like air tech is finished on the carrier. Something on it raises up. Actually, to be totally honest, I don't know what it is on the Soban carrier, but you can tell if you know, you actually know what those things are. Maybe he saw that, maybe he just could guess by the number of units on the field being very low, I don't know, but great strategizing from Garmilator right there. And he's gotten 1 artifact out, and a second is on the way. Probably due to the fact that he's playing on a much larger map than usual, he's not really being as aggressive as we've seen him traditionally. So that's an interesting thing to note. He's getting power reserve 3 now, because of course, you know, Coalition carrier is like crazy powerful, so he's going to use that as like his main weapon. And I'm kind of worried for Catharsis because it just doesn't look like he's really moving into any kind of decisive attack here. Anti-air turret posts are going down for the base runner. It's going to fire off shots now, and it's going to do serious damage unless the strike fighters get out of there, but they are. So no loss is going to be taken from Catharsis. These salvagers here just don't even care about the fact that they're getting shot at, because they're too dumb to know what that means. That's an interesting thing to note, right? Like, you have to tell your salvagers to move out of the way. Like, I feel like they would know, oh, I'm being shot at, maybe I should leave. But no, they're not smart enough for that. You have to tell them to. Anyway, is one of them going to go down here? Oh, well, I mean, not if he smokes them off. That was a bit of a missmoke right there. The army for Garmilator is looking pretty big here. He got railgun tech, but then he didn't make any railguns. He might have done that solely for the production. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. These strike fighters here are just going to pick off a couple of LAVs. LAVs can actually shoot back. They do have anti-air, but it's not really going to be much compared to this. Although Garmilator, correctly identifying which LAV was being targeted, manages to split it off in the group, reducing the splash damage there, which is pretty cool. Small things, but they add up in the end. These LAVs here going in for a bit of a charge. This LAV on the high, AAV, sorry. This AAV on the high ground, and this one also getting onto the high ground. It's doing a pretty good job of holding it off, but they are going to catch these LAVs out. Get 2 kills off of them. Take some damage to the strike fighters, but none of them should go down. Another artifact goes down for Garmilator, making the score now 2-0. And he's going insanely heavy on macro here, which makes sense. He's got total field control, doesn't he? But this is a third support cruiser. Going to 4 base economy. Like, how often do you see that? And he's just rushed directly up to power reserve number 5. His opponent, I guess, is trying to do the same thing here, and he's researching battle cruisers, which is pretty cool. But is he going to be slightly behind there? No. Slightly earlier? No, yeah, he's going to be slightly behind, right? Oh my goodness, I can't even tell. No, he's early. He has 4 bases already. His opponent's getting up to 4 bases. I know how to do math. But the critical thing here is that Garmilator is up to Power Reserve 5 pretty soon, which means cruise missiles, we all know that. And Soban have no such thing. They've got their microwave emitter, which can deny economy for like a short amount of time, but like the cruise missile will just literally blow it up, so I know which one I would rather have in that scenario. So it's going to be up to Catharsis then, I would imagine, to be able to get something done with these battlecruisers pretty quickly. But based on the number of LAVs on the field, that doesn't really seem like the best choice either, does it? Because of course, Soban battlecruisers are actually railguns, so they don't really do much damage to LAVs at all. One railgun getting caught out here from Garmilator. This is a nice little pick from Catharsis. The start that he needs, of course. Excuse me. There's the cruise missile though. Where is it landing? Right there. Has he seen it? No, which means it's going to be too late. Is he going to get the sport cruiser too? Very nearly got the sport cruiser as well. Oh, excuse me. You know, we saw this in Garmilator versus Descara as well, that like support cruisers would be targeted by cruise missiles, and the cruise missile would be like set right on top of the resources, but the support cruiser is always a little bit to the side, right? Like, shouldn't you put it there? It'll still kill all the salvagers and it'll kill the support cruiser, I feel. I don't know about that. Anyway, these two AAVs very dedicatedly trying to kill off this anti-air turret. The AAV smoked it. They could smoke it again, but it looks like it's going to go down anyway. And quite a number of LAVs actually I feel got killed there. But they have now got a nice angle on these railguns here. Little railgun duel going on over here, but it looks like that is going Catharsis' way. He's gotten 1 kill there. And of course he's going to get... No, these are his railguns getting killed, of course. The anti-air turret post did go down as well as this AAV, so it's a nice pickup, but he wants to get out of the range of this turret. Smoke off and get out of the range of that. These 5 railguns here are going to try to hold this flank. But they're a little bit out of position for that. These AAVs here, just kind of forgotten about. One of them goes down, the other one takes significant damage. Salvagers getting killed here, but the railguns from Catharsis are dwindling in numbers, now 2 to 5. Of course, Garmilator here has got the defender's advantage. But he's going to be able to push temporarily Garmilator off of this base right here. But he cannot get anywhere near that carrier because that carrier is super beefy right now. And also, look at how many railguns Garmilator is producing at a time here. Sure, certainly he's got, yeah, both of the, what are they even called? Production upgrades. And he's kind of running in here, sandwiching this army between his carrier and the wall. I mean, you know, the edge of the map, that's what I mean by that. The support cruiser once again getting dangerously low. This time, I believe it will go down, which is a very, very nice pickup for Catharsis. I didn't think he was actually going to get that much value out of this push. That support cruiser really should have been pulled off. But maybe Garmilator slightly underestimated his opponent's force there. But they are going to get cleaned up, I would assume, without getting the second support cruiser, which is what he's eyeing after right now. Garmilator making a second, another support cruiser to make up for that loss. That won't go down, will it? It's going to be kind of close. Meanwhile, base runners, yeah, it's not going to go down, but a base runner is going to go down from Garmilator. So that's a nice pickup from Catharsis. Of course, when Garmilator's main unit of his army is this carrier, you know, any power that you can deny, that's a good thing. Another AAV being super annoying in the backlines here. Actually doing significant damage to the support cruiser. Or rather, the support cruiser was significantly damaged and he almost killed it. Just look at the health on these two support cruisers. Like, if both of these had gone down, that would be such a big difference here. I like this play a lot from Catharsis, but unfortunately he's just barely not going to be able to make it. Support cruisers are conglomerating to try to heal each other up now. There's another little backstab going in here, and this support cruiser is dangerously low already, so Catharsis stands to do some very serious economic damage to his opponent. But meanwhile, here's another cruise missile, by the way. Don't you love these things? And that time the support cruiser will go down, even though it looks like Catharsis had actually moved it slightly further away because he knew it was going to get cruise missiled again. But doesn't matter, none such. Cruise missiles too powerful for that. Garmilator moving the support cruiser back because I guess he saw this poke here, so he knows what's going on. He's got quite a number of railguns to deal with this though. However, there are 2 battle cruisers here from Catharsis, so I'm interested to see what that can do. I noticed, meanwhile, that Garmilator actually is teched into battlecruisers as well, so he might be producing some of those pretty quickly. Some air units gonna find an unhappy time. Find a time? You can't really find a time. They're gonna find a support cruiser and they don't like it. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But none of them went down there, which is good. These railguns here have a nice angle on the base runner, but that is going to tell Garmilator this force is still here, so that's some valuable information for him. I really don't think he can take this fight with only this many railguns, so this is actually potentially a big deal here. Catharsis could do some serious damage when he pushes in there. Meanwhile, these LAVs trying to chase down the base runner. They are going to get the one with the artifact in it, but I don't think they'll get anything else because of this carrier. These units here moving in now. Salvager's beginning to go down. The support cruiser was wisely moved further away, but is it going to be enough? A lot of railguns here, but there's a lot of railguns in these two battle cruisers for Catharsis, but they are crucially too far back to join in on this fight, so not getting as much out of this as they would like to. The railguns are cutting off in this oh, that seemed a little suspect. They're cutting off in this direction, but I rather think Catharsis can just ignore it and move off that way. Battlecruisers are smoking here, I don't really know why. It's an interesting choice. A cruise missile? This is what cruise missiles do, I hate it so much. They just like, oh, you have an army? No, no you don't. Boom! And there's nothing you can do about it, because units can't actually move out of the way fast enough. And a cruise missile comes out for, what's his face, Catharsis, but that's not really going to matter because it's a Soban one. Actually, it's going to kill the salvagers, which is a nice touch, but no way it's going to kill these support cruisers. And now these two battle cruisers looking rather unsupported. This carrier is just going to run in and bully them off. Or rather, it's just going to kill them because these things are slower than the carrier, of course. And I don't see what Catharsis can possibly do about this. I mean, normally I'd think like, oh, two battlecruisers, yeah, they'll kill a carrier for sure, but like, these are Soban battlecruisers, which has slightly lower DPS, and so this is going to be unfortunate for Catharsis. Meanwhile, Catharsis, Garmilator has made his battlecruisers here. Once again, these strike fighters going to find this support cruiser. They're not going to be too happy about that. Looks like they saw it and backed away, which is nice. He's targeting the carrier with it. I think he's wanting to go for a carrier kill here, but do the math. Carrier's at 60%, battlecruisers are at 50%, so he's going to lose that fight for sure. But Catharsis could kill off the support cruiser, which would be pretty nice. There's one AAV here, meanwhile, just being super annoying, picking off logistics modules, but that will be pushed off also by the carrier. The support cruiser managing to get some anti-air shots in before it goes down, but no strike fighters dying there, so that's good for Catharsis. One strike fighter going down there, another artifact being scored. That's more power to Garmilator. And now he's got two battle cruisers on the field to the two battle cruisers of his opponent, but he's got basically like 4 battle cruisers actually because he also has this thing. So things are looking very good for Garmilator at the moment if he can just get his economy back in order. Second cruise missile coming in from the Soban player, which makes sense because their cooldown is lower, so that's actually pretty significant. Might even catch this support cruiser off guard if he's lucky. No, that one will certainly get away. But doing a very good job just like harassing his opponent's economy, being super annoying with that microwave emitter. But I think really Garmilator, all he's got to do now is just kind of like run in with that carrier, take a fight with these. Oh, those are even support cruisers. Those are not even battle cruisers. Well, things are looking even worse for Catharsis then than I thought. He's only got 1 battle cruiser on the field. So really, Garmilator can just run in here with his carrier. Everything that his opponent has gets countered by this. And I'm sure his opponent will be making more battle cruisers or railguns or something like that, but Garmilator can just make more of his own as well. So it's looking like he's basically just going to win this if he moves his carrier up there. He doesn't know that though, so he might not move it up immediately, which gives his opponent a little bit of time potentially to try to respond. Now, Catharsis has done a very good job of holding Garmilator off the artifacts, but even so, 3 of them have gotten out, so if Garmilator just gets 2 more artifacts, he'll win the game right off of that. So that's also kind of risky times for Catharsis. Not really too much anti-air right here, is there? There's a support cruiser though, which is quite significant. So it's going to push those strike fighters off, but not before they clean up a turret from Catharsis, which is good because of course these turrets can be surprisingly effective in stopping little backstabs, especially of like LAVs and stuff like that from his opponent. So, how many bases is Catharsis on right now? These guys are mining, right? So that's 4 bases. His opponent is only on 2. So his economy is stronger. I mean, like if time permits, he could eventually probably come out on top here, but that's the big question. You know, is time going to permit? Oh, he's firing a microwave emitter over here where there actually isn't any eco. That's a little bit unfortunate. And I also like to point out, even if there was eco here, there's only going to be 2 piles, whereas over here there's 3. So this would have been the better target for sure. But maybe he's expecting that these places are mined out already, which they almost are, to be fair. So. But it's a little unfortunate that there wasn't actually anything in there for that microwave emitter to do damage to. Garmilator picking up 2 more artifacts. This is where it starts getting critical, of course, because if these artifacts score, Garmilator will just win. And there's 2 support cruisers, no, 3 support cruisers here to do anti-air. The strike fighters do not want to engage right here. They're going to take a lot of damage, but even so, Catharsis has got to find a way to push in here and get at least one of these base remnants, but ideally both of them. And I'm not sure what that would be right now. He's got 4 battle cruisers, but those are pretty darn slow. Possibly a microwave emitter could do it. I'm thinking if you put the microwave emitter like right on top of the base runner, maybe it can't get out in time to save itself, but I'm not sure. Not very familiar with the microwave emitter myself. Don't really see it used very often. It does indeed look like Catharsis is running toward the extraction zone, but I mean, there's no way he's gonna get there in time. Here's the microwave emitter. But like I said, probably if it was on top of the base runner, it'd be better, right? Because then maybe you could even kill it. Although perhaps it's true that because he's putting the microwave emitter down here, he's gonna be able to get to the extraction zone before the base runners. That could be the case. The Soban with their enhanced weaponry, which does less damage. Cruise missiles are just incredible. That's basically the answer to that. Actually, Garmilator's cruise missile is ready, and these units are looking dangerously bunched right here. Can you imagine one cruise missile right here? And the carrier is so close that there's no way the army from Catharsis is going to be able to react to this. Oh, he unpowers the armor like right as he starts getting hit by these railguns. It's a little funny. Actually, lots of strike fighters in the hood too. This could do some serious damage to this carrier. Oh wow, this carrier taking a lot of damage right there. That was quite surprising. That almost looked like Garmilator was going to lose this carrier right there. Tons of damage being done here. He has got that cruise missile ready. He could fire it right there. These strike fighters, of course, going to do almost no damage to a fully armored carrier. These LAVs are running in here. Oh, artifacts are scoring, aren't they? Alright, so I guess it doesn't really matter in the end. Although it is interesting to note that I feel like Catharsis is about to win this game, actually. Base runner, why did you stop there? Oh my goodness. Oh, that base runner like stopped moving, because I'm pretty sure this carrier is about to die, right? Like, there's a lot of damage coming down on this carrier here, and the base runner is going to secure the victory for Garmilator, but he just like stops right there. I think it was one of those cases where Garmilator looked at it from here or whatever, so he's like, alright, base runner, go there. But actually the extraction zone is like this far away. Oh my goodness. That almost was a win for Catharsis, actually. I think it's interesting to note, like, if Garmilator knew that Catharsis didn't really have much on the field except for like 1 battlecruiser earlier on there, he could have just driven in there and just destroyed everything. But Catharsis was given time to build up an army, but by the time he built up an army, Garmilator got all the artifacts out. So it kind of feels like either he takes a risk to win right now, or he just wins later. So I guess he picked to win later because it's more safe. Makes sense, you know. Getting surprisingly close in the end. I mean, look at this carrier. It's on like not much percent health officially. I think it's 3%, right? No, wait. Yes. Yeah, that's 3%. I'm pretty sure anyway. So that was actually pretty close right at the end there. But Garmilator is going to take the win here, which is what we kind of expected. But Catharsis is putting up kind of a good showing there, you know, almost won right at the end. And it was kind of exciting to see a Soban versus Coalition matchup as well. Now we'll move on to the last round from, no, last game. I always get that mixed up. The last game from this round.